Recording now. Thank you. Welcome. I'm speaking now with Deb Carpenter-Beck, who represents the Sage Group of companies, which is a business management information software business who managed to get the most popular votes in the Best Construction Blog competition, which this spring. And didn't necessarily win the competition because there were some other criteria that we looked at, largely the depth of the vote and stuff like that. However, still came in very close to the top, and certainly in actual total popular vote, became the first place winner in popular vote. So I'd like to learn a little more about Sage, and Deborah can explain something about the business, and then we'll ask a bit about the blog and how it works and how you use it in your business. So, Deborah, you can explain what Sage does and how it relates to the architecture, engineering, and construction industry, and I'll leave it to you now.
Okay. Well, Sage is a leading supplier of business management software for small to medium-sized companies. We're based in the UK, so we are a global company, and we also have a Sage North America division that is services both Canada and the United States. And we have about 6 million customers worldwide. We have 3.2 million customers within Canada and the U.S. And from a construction specific perspective, within Canada and the U.S. alone, we have more than 40,000 companies that use Sage products.
So what would they use them for primarily? Can you give me some examples of where the Sage is actually put into practice?
Sure. Primarily in the construction industry, our customers use our accounting software, our cost estimating, project management. We have products that are both what we call on-premise. They work off of servers in companies, but also we offer some cloud-based solutions for time tracking, for example, and receiving reports out into the field, to give you an example of some of the ways that they use our products.
How would this integrate with stuff like BIM as it's evolving?
Primarily we do integrate with BIM models. Our estimating software does, and so that's the connection from a BIM perspective.
Right. So how did the blog start, and how does that fit into the business that Sage operates?
Yeah. Well, Sage, one of our main visions for Sage is to help small to medium-sized companies to succeed in their businesses. And technology is one part of that equation, but there's all kinds of other things to help a company succeed. And that includes strategy and processes and planning and everything that goes along with that. How you put that together and you combine technology along with those things, that's what we've seen when we talk with a lot of different companies, is that's really the formula for success. And so the blog came out of basically that vision of how do we help companies to better manage their businesses. For example, in the construction industry, many contractors, for example, they start their businesses because they love to build, and we want to help them to improve their processes and work a little bit smarter so that they really have time to focus on really what they love to do. So the blog helps us to provide that information out there to the market, that information that's there to help them make their business life a little bit easier.
Okay. Now, I noticed that it appears to be there's several contributors for the blog. Is that correct?
Yes, there is.
And how is that coordinated? I mean, how it's a corporation. You got I've always blogs are such individual posting type things, and I just intrigued how you manage that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I serve a bit as what you call the managing editor, and so I work with a lot of the authors, both internal here at Sage as well as externally. Um, and we knew right away that we wanted to include a lot of different authors, because if you really look at the authors list, both internally and externally to Sage, you're going to see a lot of years in the construction industry, and a lot of great perspectives and variety in how they present their information. We wanted that kind of depth in the blog, so that we could get a lot of different viewpoints and hopefully stimulate some discussion with those different viewpoints. And basically I coordinate that. It doesn't take too much time. People are really good at meeting their deadlines, and making sure that we get them scheduled on time so that we get those blog posts out the door.
Well, I know you have a lot of readers quantitatively because of the number of votes we got from you, but have you qualitatively counted the number of readers you got, and how the demographics and how the readership is evolving? Is it increasing, type of thing?
Yes. Well, again, we're a fairly new blog, as you we started in August of 2012, so we're really building our readership. We have seen a steady growth in our viewers every single month since we started, and also with subscribers. We continue to see an increasing number of subscribers. Obviously, initially, when we started the blog, the first readers were people closest to us. We had, employees out there, and some of our many business partners that we work with in the industry, consultants and a variety of others. But what we're seeing is a lot more more construction companies every time. That's starting to increase a lot more now. Is a lot more people, our current customers, for example, are coming on board, and non-customers as well.
Do you want to give me any numbers?
Unfortunately, I can't provide that kind of information. Okay. It is proprietary.
Okay, fair enough. It's my business to ask the question. It's your right to say, I can't do it. Can you give me some examples that would not be proprietary of where the blog has effected change or achieved business objectives for Sage?
Well, again, I think we're so early as a blog, so we're just starting to see some of those early benefits of having the blog. Where I have seen some things is, obviously, we are more prominent on search engines, for example, particularly in some of the main content subject matter that we've been covering, and so that's been very positive for us. It's also been a great way for us to get more information out into some of our other social media channels, so it's been feeding some of that. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to see, and this is the thing that I'm really happy with, is we're starting to see more discussion, more comments. We're starting to get more comments onto the blog, and that's where I think we're really going to affect the change. That's really one of our main goals with this blog, is to start the conversation, to stimulate conversation within our industry on some key topics in the industry.
Could you say if you've learned any lessons, if there's been some things that you did that you realized that you need to change, and then what you learned from that process?
Well, actually, one of the things we learned came from the review that you wrote about our blog. It gave lots of confirmation in terms of that we're heading in the right direction. But one of the things that you had mentioned was that we gave very useful information, but it wasn't as easy to find out who we were. And so we're actually going to make a change now based on that. Mm-hmm. We have focused so much on providing really good content that addresses the industry issues. We've been focused so much on that now we kind of forgot that we maybe need to talk a little bit about who we are as a company.
That's right. Because if people know you, well, of course they know you, but if they're not so familiar with you and they're meeting you first through the social media, you've got to solve that little gap of branding information so that they get enough information to know what your business is, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
That's sort of a tracking process. Would you have any recommendations for other businesses who are contemplating or exploring the blogging idea to make it effective?
Yeah. Uh, my advice would be, first of all, to really understand clearly how it supports your corporate goals. You need to really make sure you understand that. And then, secondly, understand your readers. I do see a lot of blogs who it's very much of a corporate mouthpiece, and they miss out on their readers, getting that kind of readership. And so it's really making sure that you're focusing on the readers and the issues that they want you to cover within the parameters of, again, what the goal is of your blog.
Yeah, that is a challenge. With corporate type of blogs, of course, is that often the layers of the corporation preclude the independent expressions that are needed to make a blog effective, right? On the other hand, you can't have people going off like loose cannons, saying whatever they want. That would be chaos for for your business, I'm sure, right? Just give me an idea of the scale of Sage. How many employees is the organization, or is there any public available information about the volume of business Sage does, or anything like that? Nothing proprietary, obviously. I'm just looking for.
Well, yeah, we have Sage overall globally does about $2 billion in revenue,
right?
And in terms of company size, employees. We have globally about 13,500, actually a little bit more than that, of employees globally. About 2,750 of those employees are within Canada and the U.S.
Okay, so it's a pretty, and I guess a lot of them were cross-disciplinary, but about how many of them would be focused in the architecture, engineering, and construction community, or is that proprietary?
Oh, I don't know that answer specifically.
Okay, that's fair. Do you have any? I noticed an allusion to SpongeBob SquarePants in some of your things. Where did that come from?
Well, actually, that was at the very beginning of the blog when we were doing some of the design work and deciding what we wanted, the strategic positioning of the blog and so forth. We had been, obviously a bit quiet from a blog perspective. So we wanted to really go out with a little bit of a splash and something that was a little bit different than what you typically see out in some of the corporate blogs. So our agency came up with this particular character, and we thought it would be fun. Also because we do cover quite a bit of business critical types of information on the blog, but we also like to mix that with a bit of humor, and we've used Bob, for example, as an actual author, and he gives us a little bit of humor in the blog, as well as we human interest type things. We also feel that that's appropriate to have that kind of mix. It makes it a little bit more entertaining and a little, for people. We want to have fun with the blog as well.
I appreciate that. Well, I think it's been a wonderful interview. It's a contrast to the last interview, which of course was with a much smaller business, but at the same time, I think you've managed to keep that human level to the blog and do a very good job of communicating and reaching out, which is wonderful. Do you have any final words you want to share, or as we wrap up?
Probably, maybe the only final words would be related to where we'd like to see the blog evolve to. And again, we're so new to this, but where our vision for this blog is to really start that conversation. And We invite any construction companies and other individuals who care about the construction industry to join in that dialogue.
Well, thank you, Deborah, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I will, of course, post this interview on the Construction Marketing Ideas blog, and also put some hyperlinks to your blog when we post it in a couple of days. And I encourage people to take a look at the Sage blog. It's very well done, and I think it's going to continue to improve. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure.